911. What are you? That's me! That's me! That's me!
Whoa, 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 everybody. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's real vile time, baby. And it's your main man, the G to the E to the R to the M. The T stands for thou, but you already knew that. And we're about to rip it up in a modern way, so it's got to be Mr. Germ to you, Ripper, with my lovely and beautiful, talented co-host, the Prime Minister, the Sinister, Mr. Ruthless Chris. Tell him what's happening, Mr. Ruthless Chris.
Halloween time, goddammit, that's what's happening.
Word indeed. And of course, we can't go anywhere without the Tower of the Hour, the Princess of Power, Miss Killer Kelli Miller.
Hey, girls. Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey, indeed. Can't have an episode without at least one hey, girl. Hey. Hey, speaking of hey, girl. Hey, it's very exciting. Tonight, we're going to be focusing on 1988's classic Halloween movie, Night of the Demons. This is a lifelong favorite of mine, and I'm excited to talk about it. Before we do, what have you guys been up to in the past week?
Well, it would have been 2 weeks now at this point, but I seen you. I got to meet you in person. That was a good time. We did the whole Chicago trip. That was definitely a good fucking time. It was good to be back and hanging out with y'all. Since then, it's been a lot of work. Getting ready to go to California in 2 days, and it's my birthday.
It's birthday.
As we're recording this, it is my birthday. I think when this comes out, it'll be Halloween, right?
I think this comes out on Halloween, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, is Halloween on Tuesday or Monday? It's on Tuesday.
Tuesday. Mm-hmm.
So it's day before Halloween.
So
technically, this comes out. The audio, a little behind the scenes. The podcast comes out on a Monday, and usually it takes me a day for the video for YouTube because my internet sucks. So I do those on Tuesday. So yeah, so technically, Devil's Night and Halloween, this episode will come out.
Woo! Yeah, but it's been a busy week, as far as work and the whole wrestling thing with you guys and meeting Germ and getting ready for California and birthdays and we went and seen Dropkick Murphys the other day and just fucking it's been a thing. What are you guys been up to?
Very, very, very cool. Mr. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, like she said, we had the Chicago show. We all got to hang out. The show went very well. I was very happy with it. That show, that was a rough one. Had to replace some people on the fly after the show had already started. So hopefully everyone was happy with what I came up with. Replacing Pagano last minute is not an easy task. But I think I was able to pull someone at least that people were happy about. Went with Kelli to Dropkick Murphys. We went and did horror trivia the other day and we lost.
Yeah, we lost at horror trivia. It's fucking what?
we got to the end. Well, now first off,
hold on. Yeah,
there were some legit motherfuckers in this thing. It wasn't.
There was,
like, random bar night like people.
And the questions were good, dude.
They came out in their like bootleg like Scream gear, and like the guy we lost or the girl we lost to, we should have lost to her, but we were like neck and neck up to there. Like we had gotten to the finals. And the real problem was it was a speed round, and speed is not only one of us could go and represent the team.
Yep.
Speed is not my jam, so that's what man knew the answers to the questions, but she was just.
She was. They got us to the speed round. We made it to the finals, and then when we set Chris up, and neither of us are quick though. She was, she rightfully so. She beat us. Yeah. Ashamed to say, but we lost.
So yeah, we're doing movie night tonight, later tonight, and that's about everything going on.
Very cool. Sometimes, the creatures of the night will crawl out of their basements and they will answer that trivia question like it's nobody's business. And there's nothing you can do about it. But you guys did your best. Salute to you. Carrying that flag, that real vile flag, I'm sure. I haven't been doing too much. But I did go see Henry Rollins and David Sedaris do a talking gig together, which was a lot of fun. Ken and I went through that, and then Sunday night, I went to a haunted house called Hell's Gate, which was probably the best haunted house I've ever been to, where you
Nice.
park and then a bus takes you to a forest, and it
Oh,
starts
cool.
in the
That's cool. I'm
it
sorry. I didn't
starts
mean
in the forest, and there's zombies, and there's chainsaw guys, and there's like cabins, and then you go into the actual Hell's Gate. It's a gate that leads into the bowels of hell. Like there's a whole storyline, and there's like characters. It was really well done, and luckily my twin sister Ria, her and her husband had their wedding photos taken there, their engagement photos, and so they knew the owner, of course, and the owner like came out, met us, and for the price of a general admission, we skipped the line entirely, like instant access. We went backstage and met the crew. Those of us who drank, not me, of course, but those of us who drank took shots with the people working. And then we went through again. It was awesome. It was such a good night. And then today I just got tattooed, started my back piece, which is a circus clown with 2 pit bulls. And it's actually super adorable. I'm very excited about this. But here we are recording our final spooky season episode of Real Vile. And we got to get this train chugging along, baby. Choo choo. Terror train pulling into the station. Ruthless Chris. What have you been watching?
So I got to narrow it down. I've watched a lot of movies. Even with me being on the road, I was able to get a bunch in. The first one I'm going to talk about isn't a horror movie per se, but it's a documentary that goes with the times. It is about haunted houses. The one that is supposed to be the most extreme and notorious one. It's about McCamey Manor. It's called Monster Inside, America's Most Extreme Haunted House. I very much enjoyed this because I know a lot about what goes on behind the scenes in McCamey Manor, and it's pretty much just a torture dungeon thing.
Oh, I watched
Not
this.
even real. Like, it got this reputation as being this haunted house, but it's actually run by this really sick person that just likes to torture people, and he uses like the law to manipulate it to where he can, and is able to get away with it. And he's doing all this, like, at first he did have a haunted house, and now he's literally like making people like crab walk in his front lawn with dog food across their laps and like covering their faces at like safety pins and needles and like waterboarding them and like trying to drown them and shit. It was a wild experience, but while I was watching this, there's also a famous YouTuber who's literally in the process of taking this guy down. So it was like a little twofold thing. I kind of got to watch it from both ends. So Reckless Ben on YouTube, if you want to check that shit out. Take it down McCamey Manor. But yeah, I would recommend it. It's not a great documentary, but it's not bad. It's a lot of fun. It's good for the Halloween season. It's about the dark side of haunts and like kind of why people are like more drawn to an extreme haunt, or why they would want to put themselves through that situation, and like what kind of person it takes. They kind of go into that. And they do also go on the light side of like how extreme haunts can be done properly and in a fun and still not harmful way, but it's still extreme, and a very emotionally taxing thing. So yeah, it was a cool experience. That's The Monster Inside on Hulu.
Yeah, I've been wanting to check that one out. How many stars would you give that baby?
I'd give it 3 out of 5.
3 stars seems fair enough. Monster Inside. Have you seen that one, Kelly?
I threw it on the other day. Actually, I think I watched about half of it. I was kind of cleaning the house at the same time, and it was something like I throw on a lot of true crime as like background noise a lot. But yeah, I remember there was a couple times I like stood in the living room and just stopped what I was doing. I was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" And I was like, "I'm gonna have to watch this one later." But yeah, I did catch quite a bit of it. This was pretty good. This is something that I want to go back and give like more attention to.
Sweet. I'll have to check that out. So
I think it's on Hulu, right?
Yeah,
it's
Monster Inside. It's called, correct?
Monster Inside. Behind America's Most Extreme Haunt is like the sub name.
All right. Well, check that bad boy out on Hulu if you get a chance. In the meantime, Killer Kelly Miller, what you been watching, girlfriend?
All right, this one that I'm going to talk about is one that Chris has been telling me to watch for fucking ever. And He's actually talked about it on here, but I think it was like a year ago. And it does take place on Halloween, but holy fucking shit. Anything for Jackson. 2020 on Shudder. Directed by Justin Dick. He also, reading about him, he did 2 Creepshow episodes on the new series that just came out a couple days ago on Shudder. I've been watching that too. It's really fucking good. I love Creepshow. But this fucking movie, right off the rip, like it starts out, you get this old nice couple. They seem like an old nice couple, and then within the first 5 minutes, they're dragging a pregnant bitch into their house. Like, then you're like, what the shit? So since that like opening scene, it had my attention, I like paused it and turned down all the lights and lit some candles. Like, all right, it's this kind of movie because that's the kind of feel you got. And holy shit, it is that kind of movie. Basically, without going too much into it, it's like a reverse exorcism situation where since she's pregnant, they're trying to use Satanism to bring back the child that they lost, their grandson that was killed in a car accident. This movie, but they end up opening some doors to some shit, which brings some shit into the house. And that's like the most I can really say. But like, The Sentinel is one of my favorite movies of all time. And this heavily reminded me of that in some ways, like the way the story is told, the way the ghosts keep coming back. It also kind of reminded me a little bit of like 13 Ghosts just because of the ghost characters. This movie rocked, dude. Fucking rocked super hard, and I can't recommend it enough. Like, there's Satanist cults, a lot of paranormal shit. You got the creepy old couple, some really good ghost scenes, and just like, there's one scene with a wood chipper that made me fucking pop. I think that's the moment that I texted Chris and I was like, all right, this movie fucking rocks. And it's like the beginning of the second act, I was like, oh shit, here we go, and it just goes AWOL from there. And it ends great. Like, I can't recommend this movie enough. Chris, you were absolutely right. And I wish I would have watched this sooner, but yeah, anything for Jackson on Shudder.
No, when you were first describing it, it sounded like something I'd seen, but I just checked my letterbox and evidently I haven't. It sounds amazing though.
Watch it.
I'll have to check it out.
I think
Chris,
it's a Shudder original.
Oh, it's a Shudder original?
I think no. It's a Shudder exclusive then. It's a Shudder something, yeah.
It's a Shudder exclusive, but not original. This one is in literally top 5 for me. I've suggested this as episodes before. It's one of those things where I don't think the name grabs people, and the cover really isn't.
No,
it doesn't show you really how gnarly it's going to get, and I mean it's also really well made. Like it almost like feels like Ty West's House of the Devil.
Yeah, I get that feel for sure.
And like the filming of it, the grit, the grain, like how like old school and kind of gnarly the storyline is, and there's a lot of like beyond ghosts is supernatural. Like there's gnarly shit in this. Like,
yeah, dude,
ghosts.
It gets gory. It's actually legit creepy in some parts. You're like, oh shit. Like I said, the wood chipper scene, I was like, I popped. I did. I was at home like, oh, I think I even said audibly loud, like, oh shit, by myself,
Yeah, it's one I've been really pushing on people a lot, and no one's really given it the time of day. But when people finally do, like Kelli did, they're just like, "Holy shit, that was a fucking movie, man!" So yeah, I can't recommend enough. I give it 4.5 stars, if not 5.
Yeah, 4.5, 5 all day, dude, all day. Sorry, Chris.
Very cool. Well, with those glowing reviews, I will have to check it out. And I think everybody else that has Shudder or a streaming service that offers anything for Jackson should definitely check that one out. In the meantime, I'm going to keep the train chugging along, and I'm going to talk about a brand new movie that's also on Shudder, AMC Plus. It is 2023's The Puppetman. This one was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I expected something, I don't know, something like Puppet Master, I guess, or maybe something along the lines of that one kill in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 where Freddy is a puppeteer. I thought it was going to be a much more literal interpretation. What we got, though, was like a supernatural thriller almost about a serial killer who brought who okay, so the Puppet Man is a convicted killer on death row, always maintained his innocence, and then evil force controlling his body as slaughtered his victims. Now Michael, the killer's daughter, yeah, that threw me off over and over that the daughter is named Michael, but Michael, the killer's daughter, begins to suspect that there were maybe some truth to her father's claim that those around her begin to die in brutal ways. She must try to break the curse of the Puppet Man before all her loved ones are killed. Yeah, as this thing progressed, it just it got more brutal and it got more intense, and I really liked how it unraveled. And because at first it seems like pretty standard. There are some brutal kills. It's pretty smart, pretty well done. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Have either of you checked out the Puppet Man yet?
I almost watched it last night. I watched that other new one that's on last night, the one that takes place in a gas station. I don't remember the name. I fell asleep to it too, but it was good so far. But I'll probably talk about that on the next episode.
I have not. I've never even heard of it, honestly.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. But it's I know you both have Shudder, so definitely give it a try. It's better than it looks, and not the premise I expected. So I give it 4 stars. But we're gonna keep this train a chugging along. Mr. Chris, it's your turn again, second round. Let's go down and see what you've been watching, baby.
So I got this in a pile of Vinegar Syndrome movies I had ordered a while back, and I had never gotten around to it. And Halloween's a lot of time where I hit my backlog of just like where I go full force and stuff. I always want to watch stuff I haven't seen before in October, and a lot of times I'll watch comfort movies or something. But this is one I haven't seen before. This is Italian Giallo by Sergio Martino. This is The Strange Vice of Mrs. Wardh. I expected your normal, leather glove, straight razor, giallo, and that you definitely got that in this. But this one has, and it's hard to even believe this, but it's a little more sleazy than most giallos. Like, I mean, this puts like New York Ripper to shame on how sleazy it gets. Like, no one gets like toe fingered or anything, but like. If people aren't dying, they're fucking in this thing. And it's usually like really depraved, like semi almost rapey sex, but still consensual, if that makes sense. It's really dirty and pervy. It's shot like all giallos super, super well. It has a really kick-ass soundtrack that's not by Goblin, but it's really fun, synthy. And the Synapse DVD or Blu-ray actually came with another disc that was a soundtrack. So I'm kind of pumped to be able to pop that in. Because it's pretty much just keyboards going haywire the entire time. Beautifully shot. The color palette in this thing is gorgeous. Tabasco blood, though, that's my only complaint about it. It's like Giallo's really good at using like almost that like paint looking blood, and this is like it looks like Tabasco sauce. It's really weird. But all in all, I really had a lot of fun with this one. It's definitely not going to be for everyone. This is more for like the Giallo purists that like kind of want to see everything. This one is definitely above a lot of the ones I've seen, but like just know you're going into like something super, super sleazy when you go into this thing. Like it's like I said, if people aren't getting sliced up with a razor, they're fucking, and it's not going to be like normal. Ooh, this is so hot sex. It's going to be like really weird. But yeah, Strange Vice and Mrs. Wardh, 1971, Sergio Martino, and I give that one 4 stars.
Do you know if this one's streaming anywhere, Chris?
I have it pulled up in my letterbox. It looks like you can stream it on Tubi.
Tubi or not Tubi? Tubi, of course. Kelli, have you seen the Strange Vice?
Talk about it. Most likely be on Tubi.
I don't think so. I don't think I have.
Now the name sounded super familiar, so I think it's because there might be another movie with a similar name. I'm not sure. And I thought that I had seen it. But I know that if I had, I would have seen it within the last few years. And I don't have it logged into my letterbox. I love giallo. So I think if if I got time, I gotta check that one out because I do love it. Sleazy. You said 4 stars though?
4 stars. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, this was definitely kind of one of those hidden gems in Giallo that people don't really talk about. I'm glad I ordered it.
Sweet. Well, in the meantime, Miss Killer Kelly, what you got for us next, baby?
I went back on this 1999 train back here to visit a sequel to an old classic. We're talking Rage Carrie 2, which I think this was on HBO or Paramount, one of them. I don't remember what I watched it on. Yeah, it's on HBO. But the Rage Carrie 2, it follows Rachel. In the beginning, it shows her as a child. Her mom seems to have some sort of mental illness, or is it that her mom is worried about some sort of powers that Rachel has? Well, anyway, some shit goes down and they take her mom away, and she's committed into a psych ward. Rachel goes to live with another family, and years later, she's still kind of a troubled teen. She goes to this high school. She has like one popular friend, and her friend ends up killing herself. And that, and then she's kind of like a target of the bullies. It's your same go-to Carrie story, basically, except it's happening to a girl named Rachel. You realize that she has some powers early, especially when they show the opening scenes as a child and when her friend kills herself. Like, there's some shit going on with Rachel. Well, Sue Snell, the only survivor from the Rachel movie, or from the original Carrie movie, the one who befriended Carrie in the original movie with, what's her name? Oh, God. Sissy Spacek? Is it Sissy Spacek? Yep. With Sissy Spacek. And so it's the same actress. It's Amy Irving, which I thought was cool that they brought back the original actress. Now she's a teacher at this high school, and she realizes right away, like, what the fuck this girl has. Because, she dealt with it with Carrie. And she tries getting it in line. But also, she has a secret about Rachel that connects her with Carrie. Like, DNA related. But I don't know, man. This was a pretty good one. Like, I haven't seen it back since I was younger, and all of these like 1990s, early 2000s movies are fucking holding up. That's what I liked about this. It did fit the storyline. Like, they didn't change shit. And like I said, I haven't seen it since I was younger, but I'd watch it again, dude. I give it a solid 3.5. It's a good watch. It stars Mina Suvari, one of the girls from American Pie. But that's one of the only recognizable people other than Amy Irving from the original Carrie. But
very cool. Where is this streaming anywhere?
Max. HBO Max.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 3.5, Carrie 2.
Yeah,
Max.
man. It's a fun one. It's got a good early or like late 90s new metal soundtrack if you're into that. But it was very nostalgic though. It was just like, shit, I remember this song. Yeah.
Very cool. Chris, have you seen Carrie 2?
No. A lot of times with these what I thought were money grab, early 2000s, like Dimension movies came out, I kind of would just skip them. But now I like kind of have gone down the rabbit hole of like going to revisit them because they age like 80s movies where you look back at like the cheesy style and the cheesy music and the bad special effects where you're still trying to figure out like CGI and shit.
And that's what it is too, man. It's like the cheesy style, the cheesy music is like very of that time, like very representative of like 1999, year 2000, It's great. I don't know. Watch it. It's worth another watch. I promise.
Yeah, I've thought about watching it a million times, but I remember when it came out, I was of the same mind and opinion as Chris was. That I was just like, why are you making a sequel to a movie like 20 years later? But now looking back, I was like, you know what? I actually enjoyed watching I Still Know What You Did Last Summer for the first time. Like, that was a stupid movie, but it was totally fun. And I could only expect, like, with a name like Carrie 2, The Rage, I was like, Man, my nickname in high school was Rage, and I could only imagine how much fun I would actually have had watching this if I wasn't so like full of myself. I'm a horror aficionado. I'm not going to watch this. So yeah, I'll have to go back and watch it on Max because that sounds like a fun time. 3.5 Max, Carrie 2, The Rage.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep the Terror Train trucking along. And I'm going to talk about a movie that I'm sure one, if not both of you, have talked about before, but I'm going to talk about it again because it takes place around spooky season, Halloween time, and it came out this year. It is 2023's Scream 6. This was actually better than I expected it to be. I'm sure most people have probably seen it. It's just basically the next installment. So they're, the mirrors. The Scream movies are very they realize what's going on. You know what I mean? And what's up?
Self-referential.
Yes, that was the words I was looking for. Thank you. Very self-referential, very meta. And of course, this one is a sequel to the requel, and they talk about it throughout the film, which I thought was decent. I like that idea. And in this one, of course, they're in New York instead of in Woodsboro. And it was a decent film. It was better than I thought. And just like they say in the film, the kills are bigger. Nothing, you can't expect anything, and everything's unpredictable. I almost liked it as much as Scream 2 when I originally watched that because it kind of gave you that fresh take. And mostly I loved this film because there was a character dressed up as the Brown Knight from Murder Party. And I just thought that was a great nod from the filmmakers to an independent film that we covered on the last episode. So that was really cool too. Besides that, this is streaming on Paramount Plus, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I'm pretty sure both of you have seen this. You want to talk about it for a minute?
I really enjoyed it, man. I mean, it holds up. Like, even with Neve Campbell not being in this one, it still did. Like being the only one of the franchise that she's not in, I think it still did a great job of introducing the new characters and using the new characters. Also, like her legacy as a character in the new ones. Go on, Chris.
Chris, your thoughts?
I've actually watched this twice now. I enjoyed it much more the first time. And with that being said, it is a great movie, but like knowing where it was going and then realizing that it was impossible for the characters who had ended up being Ghostface in it, that some of the scenes were impossible, and that bugged me a little bit. But I did really like that they did something really fresh and cool with the intro, because I was like, oh shit, they're gonna tell us who this guy is off the fucking rip. Like this is gonna be completely different. This is like something they've never done before. And I thought that was really interesting. Some of the characters were really interesting. I like that they did like the little museum at the end of all the Ghostface things. I thought CGI Skit Ulrich looked like shit. I don't know why they keep doing that. Like, it doesn't really need to be in the story. I don't think it helps it in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. And I think it, like, for a movie that like really looks very well, it's a bad special effect, and they keep this is 2 movies in a row with it. Like, he doesn't look good. But all in all, it's a fun movie. Those Scream movies are a lot of fun. There's only one in the series that I really don't like, and the rest, there's something about at least every single one of them besides that one that I do. So I enjoy the Scream series. I'm still excited to see where they go from it. It was cool to see it outside of Woodsboro too. I'll give it that.
Very, very cool. One last round before we get to our main movie, before we get to Night of the Demons, made in 1988. Let's go for round 3. Fight! Chris, what you got for us, baby doll?
So I went back to Italy, but not for Giallo this time. I went for a cheap Jaws knockoff. What I watched was Killer Crocodile, 1989, by Fabrizio Del Angelis. I mean, for a Jaws knockoff, this is a fun one. This is kind of done right. You have a bunch of very handsome or pretty Italian folk on a rickshaw, or not a rickshaw, like a cheap fishing boat, going through a swamp, and there's a giant, shitty-looking crocodile eating the ever-living dick out of everybody. It's really fun. The crocodile looks like shit in the best possible way. Like, you can tell it's just a big rubber, like, dinghy that they're just, like, pulling through the water. There's a lot of good gore. There's a lot of really ridiculous characters in this, like the main crocodile hunter, who is like very much modeled after Indiana Jones, because this came out in Indiana in '89, so that's like when Indiana Jones was at the height of its popularity too. So they try to mesh Indiana Jones and Jaws together and make this one thing, and it's pretty hilarious. The knockoff Jaws soundtrack, loved it. The ham-fisted directing, loved it. It actually looks really good, but I don't know if that's because it's a Severin Blu-ray or if they actually shot it well, but it actually looks really good on the Blu-ray I watched. Apparently, you could watch it streaming on Vudu and Fright Night Plus. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. My Blu-ray came with a part 2, which I'm really excited to dive into. Apparently, that one's just as fun. So yeah, Killer Crocodile. I give this one 3.5. Turn your brain off. Popcorn gore fest kind of thing. This is like a party movie, like a crowd pleaser background. You don't got to pay like too much attention to it kind of film. Yeah, I liked it. Killer Crocodile.
Sweet. Sounds like a fun time. Kelly, have you seen Killer Crocodile?
I have not. But it does sound like a fun time. If you know, every once in a while you need a good fucking creature movie, and this sounds like a fun time.
Absolutely, 100% agree. So check that out if you got the Voodoo. Who do you do? Killer Crocodile, 3.5 stars for my main Chris. And Killer Kelly, what you got next for us, baby doll?
The next one I watched, it's not a Halloween movie, I apologize, but I watched it and I was excited about it, and I've been wanting to see it for a while. It's on Hulu, and this is 2023's Infinity Pool, written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg, starring Mia Goth and Alex Skarsgård. This movie was something else, dude. It was kind of like a mindfuck. You get this couple. They're in some sort of exotic island. I didn't exactly catch where they were, but they're in an exotic island. It's really beautiful. A little weird, like the people of this island are wearing these masks, and it's somewhere where like capital punishment's really big. Like they'll kill you if you do something fucked up, so you can't go outside of this resort. Well, this couple meets Mia Goth and her crew of people that they're with, and they get in some fucked up crazy shit that night, and an accident happens where like somebody dies because of like the man in this couple, Alex Skarsgård's character, and he is faced with the decision. He could pay a lot of money. He's going to be put to death for his crimes. Like he ends up getting caught because, well, I'm not going to tell you why, but he ends up getting caught, and so he can either pay or he can get, how do I say this without giving, get like a copy made of himself where that person will pay for the crimes. Well, then he pays a lot of money. He chooses that, and this whole thing spirals into a thing like where, there almost are no rules now, and it's just I can't go too far into it. But this movie was great, and I love fucking Mia Goth's character, especially when she gets all crazy and they pull over the fucking car and she's like screaming at it. You've seen it in the previews for this movie if you've seen the previews, but I give this movie a 4 all day. Without saying too much, it's very sci-fi. It is very sci-fi. It's I don't know, kind of mindfucky in a lot of ways, like I'd recommend it though. I give it a 4 all fucking day. Chris, you'll tear this one apart. By the way, you tear movies apart. Definitely watch it.
Have you seen this one, Chris?
I have not gotten around to it. I know this is one of those ones that I'm going to have to give like my full attention to when I watch it, based on his previous works with Processor and Antiviral. Him being a Cronenberg, there's a lot of that body horror he always pulls in. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I haven't had the time to devote to where I knew I would be able to like kind of be able to give it 1,000% of my attention with the phone down, like going into show weeks and stuff. My phone is endlessly buzzing and all that, and so it's on my list, but I haven't got to it yet.
Watch it before the year's over because I know it'll be on your top 10 list.
Okay.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. This is one of the few movies that I've seen that I saw in the theater this year, and I'm glad that I did because it is, like you said, it's one of the ones you got to pay attention to. So I'm glad I didn't keep looking at my phone and like doing other things, not distracted. Theater, I was very focused, and it's an excellent, excellent film. And like you said, Brandon Cronenberg follows in his father's footsteps. Amazingly, you know, there's hypersexuality, there's body horror, there's subtext, there is like plain out spelled out text, and Mia Goth is a treasure and needs to be protected at all costs because everything she's done in the past year, at least, I don't know if she's done anything before the Pearl and the X, but everything she's done in the past year or two has been magnificent, and I can't wait to watch Maxine in 2024.
Yes.
But yeah, I loved Infinity Pool. I gave it a 4.5, and if you haven't seen it yet, it's streaming on Hulu, so check it out ASAP. But with that, I've got one last movie to talk about before we talk about 1988's Night of the Demons. And the one last movie I'm going to talk about is one that I watched today that I was really happy that in the last scene of it, there is it is a scene about Halloween. But this movie is 1985, directed by Felipe Mora. It is Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. I had never seen this because my big thing is I like to watch 31 horror movies that I'd never seen during Halloween, during October. That is a challenge to myself, and I can't believe I'd never seen this before. This is a weird, wild, wonderful movie. Because it's once again, this is a hypersexual movie. There's lots of boobies, and there's some really cool gore. But it's hard to really explain too much beyond that. But a man discovers that his sister was a werewolf and helps the investigator track down a gang of monsters through the United States and Eastern Europe. Now, this movie opens with like a monologue by Christopher Lee, which already that's awesome.
Yeah.
But then having Christopher Lee as a werewolf hunter, they overlap a lot of the mythos for vampires onto werewolves. Like they're from Transylvania and you can kill them with a stake through the heart. And yeah, it was just like, no, that's a vampire, but it doesn't matter. I was going to say it has a cool soundtrack, but it has a cool song that they play over and over and over. I tried Shazamming it several times, but Shazam was like, no, I'm not doing that for you. So I'm hoping that, somebody will put out that single of the Howling 2 song. I think it's just called Howling even, because I did look it up. But I'm not sure. It is a fun song. And it's a fun movie. It's very wild and very weird. Besides, who is the main female werewolf? Sybil Danning. Yeah, Sybil Danning, queen of the B movies from the early 80s, and she kills it. Like, she's wearing these wild costumes. I could go on and on about how amazing this movie is, because it's just like, it's totally bonkers. It's totally off the rails. And it's not like the first Howling. It's kind of a murder mystery. The first Howling has like this complex sort of detective giallo feel, and this one is none of that. It's just, here's a bunch of crap. Let's see what sticks, and if you enjoy it, cool. You would have to like weird, wild, wonderful, wacky, whimsical movies. All the W's.
www.
To enjoy Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. I think there was another title that it goes by besides Your Sister is a Werewolf. It's also known by Sturba, a werewolf bitch. Which I think back in 1985, naming anything, putting profanity in the title of something was very probably taboo. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched it on Prime, but it's also streaming on Pluto and Tubi, and I gave it 3.5 stars. Have you guys seen Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf?
I did years ago. I vaguely remembered it but I feel like, what's it on?
Pluto, Tubi, and Prime.
Of course.
Of
Yes.
course.
Yeah, I've seen Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf. Fun fact, I have a fascination with all the Howling movies because the further you get into them, the
marsupial one.
the crazier they get. My favorite being Halloween or Howling 3, the marsupials, which is made in Australia. It gets really out there. There's a Howling sequel that's a musical about a biker gang of werewolves. I think that's part 5.
We should cover that.
But yeah, the further you get in, the more batshit they get, and this is like a good like launching point to that because like the first one is a very serious, well-made horror movie, mystery, and a lot going on to it, and then right off the rip on this thing, it's just like fuck that tone. We're gonna get real 80s. We're gonna get real silly with this shit. And here's Christopher Lee. If you haven't seen part 3, I highly suggest moving on to that next because holy shitballs, is that one fucking wild? There's werewolves with kangaroo pouches and whatnot. Real strange stuff. But yeah, I'd give it 3. I can't go higher than 3 because it is a bad movie, but it's a fun bad movie.
Fair enough. Yeah. So check it out. Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf, and there's a very cute scene at the end where the couple that survives answers the door to a trick-or-treater, and the trick-or-treater is a werewolf, but does not kill them. So yeah, there's a Halloween reference, and I love that. Even if it's not the whole thing takes place at Halloween, it's got that one scene. But with saying that, choo choo, we're pulling into Spoiler Town, baby, and we are going to be talking about 1988's, directed by Kevin Tenney's Night of the Demons. Holy guacamole. This is one of my all-time favorite comfort films, especially a Halloween comfort film. If you're not familiar with this film, you are living under a rock, and you need to just turn this off right now and go watch it because it's literally available on like every streaming platform: AMC Plus, Freevee, Pluto, Screenbox, Shout TV, Tubi. So you've got no excuse not to watch 1988's Night of the Demons.
And now for our feature presentation.
But it's about 10 teenagers who party in an abandoned funeral parlor on Halloween night when an evil force awakens, demonic spirits to keep them from leaving, and turn the gathering into a living hell. Now, I can't remember ever seeing a movie prior to this where it was so many tropes put into one single film where it made it so much fun to watch from the beginning to the very end. It's very unique unto itself. People have tried to copy it since, but it can't be reproduced. There was a remake of this even made like 10 years ago.
It was 2009.
Was there? I had no idea.
Oh yeah, it has your boy from Terminator 2 in it, looking real. He does not look good in it.
No, he did not. He did not look good in this at all.
What's his name?
He aged like bread.
American History X.
Edward Furlong.
Edward Furlong is in the remake of this, and I didn't care for it at all, but I do love Night of the Demons because it's such a unique. It's a unique group of people too, because as a normal person, these people would never hang out with each other because there are nerds and goths and like a whore and jock and the bully and
you had every stereotype. You had every high school stereotype, like all in a group. Of course you did. What was that?
And then you had Stooge, whatever he was. Like that guy wasn't even a stereotype. He was just like the guy that's the ultimate version of that weird character they throw in every 80s movie where he's just like there to be obnoxious and like every other word's like dumb bitch.
He was even dressed as the pig at the Halloween party, like the perfect, like the goof guy.
He had some multicolored steps going on to his fashion mullet too.
I was definitely a big fan of Stooge when I first watched this. I still am. I think if I were to meet the actor who played Stooge, Hal Havens, I would probably have to let him know that he's a good looking fella. But between his bleachers and his torn up sweatshirt and his multicolored hair, I'm guessing that he was supposed to be a punk rock guy. And also on his boombox, there's a TSOL sticker, a Dead Kennedy sticker, and I forgot a Fear sticker. So, you know, even though the music that's jamming out of said boombox is actually the director's brother's band, and not actual any actual band in real life, it's still a fun song that they play and that they dance to. And that's another thing. The soundtrack to this is killer. So having Kevin Tenney's brother do the synth-driven soundtrack, and also play like a punk rock new wave rock and roll song from the mid 80s, I thought was a lot of fun, you know. But then besides just that, it includes a song by Peter Murphy. I know, and if you're familiar with goth rock legends Bauhaus, that's going to mean something to you. I remember, I didn't know that, of course, when I watched it when I was 10 years old, but I love going back and revisiting this film every year since then. What do you guys think about like the soundtrack, the score, or how do you feel about that?
I thought it was great, dude. It fits it. It fit it so well, and it's very like iconic for an 80s movie. You know, it's exactly what you expect, really.
You know, I would disagree. I don't think it is what you expect, because normally when it's kids about to dance in like a abandoned house party,
you're right.
It's some music that doesn't fit what that group of people would honestly be listening to. Like, it's like whatever they could cheaply get the rights to. Like, you know, that scene's in almost every movie. And normally it'd be like some sort of like 80s synth pop. But this felt like a little more aggressive and transgressive, like these kids would have been listening to. Because it is, you know, they do have the eclectic group of people, but the majority of them are fringe people. You know, you got the goth girl, the punk rock guy, you know, the whore, the fucking, you know. So I do think that it fits the characters a little better. One of the tropes I like that they spun is in every single 80s horror movie, the black guy goes first, and he's the token black guy. He goes first. The second anything happens in this movie, remotely spooky, like he hears a noise in their arm, he's like, fuck this, I'm gone. He's like, I'm the fuck out of here. Everyone's trying to use reason, like, no, you're being paranoid. It's like, nope, I'm fucking gone. And makes it to the fucking end. That never happens in 80s fucking horror movies.
Yeah, you're right.
I love that spin on the trope they did. I thought that was really cool. This one, like Spookies walk so this could run, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It is like a better Spookies. I'll agree with that.
But yeah, like you said though, Chris, I think it was really amazing to break stereotypes and have Roger survive this movie, because I honestly don't believe that Night of the Demons gets enough credit to being the first movie that I remember having the black character not only survive but be the hero of the movie.
He's the smartest one. I wouldn't call him a hero, because when he was climbing the wall, he was kicking bitches down, like, here, eat her, I'm getting away. So I wouldn't necessarily call him a hero, but they did break trope. Like, I can't think of a single other 80s movie where that character wouldn't have been the token black guy just to kill off to have ethnicity in the cast, you know? And it was really cool that not only did they break that, but he survived to the very end, you know?
I would say that he was the hero just because, he was, looking out for himself at first, but then he does jump back up on and reaches down and helps Judy get over the wall. So, I mean, in a sense, he's a hero. He was, but so that's a really smart thing about this film and a really cool thing about this film. Other than that, I would have to say that like the gore and the makeup effects were pretty amazing too. Like, and nobody who has ever seen this movie will ever forget the notorious lipstick scene.
Yeah, the lipstick scene. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, because there's Suzanne, aka Linnea Quigley, sitting in a bathroom, possessed by a demon, and she starts drawing on her face, I believe, and then her chest, and then her nipple eats the lipstick, and it's just like, what? I don't think I'd seen anything like that before either.
one shot, and it looks so convincing. Like, obviously, it's a prosthetic torso, that so that they could jam but even after they jam the lipstick in, like the nipple like seals back up. You can't even see like a fucking seam.
It's crazy.
Really fucking crazy how they did, like how well it looked for a movie of this budget, because some of the other effects, like the demon teeth, stuff like that, do not look that good. But this is like, I was convinced that was really her body until it ate the fucking lipstick. And then I was trying to figure out, like, how did it seal back up like that instantly without a cut or anything? What the fuck?
Well, I don't know if you saw the behind the scenes on the DVD or the Blu-ray, but it's interesting that when the special effects artist was talking about it, they did it in one take, and the way it seals up afterwards is that the whole thing was made out of gelatin. So, there's like a very split second where gelatin will reseal itself. And I thought that was amazing and so smart. Like, everything in this movie
is smart.
It was like pre CGI, so everything's practical, and I love that about this movie too. It's so much fun.
One other thing I have to throw in there: can we bring back opening title sequences like this with like the cartoony? Like, it's an experience onto itself that gets you pumped for the movie, and a lot of 80s movies used to do it, and you could tell it didn't cost a lot of money, but it was a whole lot of fun. In fact, the only movie I can recently think of that has done it was a movie I utterly hated, aside from that opening part. I'm trying to think of the name. It was the vampire movie we watched for Pride Month.
Is this So Vamp?
No, it was the one where there were the truckers and the one guy wrapped the Bible verses around. I was like, I forget what it was called, but it had a really good intro like that. But aside from that, that movie sucked. But I would love to see movies like this have an intro like this again, where it's like just cheesy, fun, cartoony, like this is what the tone's going to be. It's going to be light. It's going to be different. It's going to be still scary, but we're not taking ourselves too seriously. I want more intro packages like this. Trick or Treat kind of did it too.
Yeah, speaking of which, me and Chris went and see Trick or Treat at fucking Texas Chainsaw at the theater. I know, small side story, but that's all.
No, that's super fun. Those are two of my all-time favorite movies. But getting back to the animated sequence in the beginning, that is one of my favorite opening sequences of any movie. And it's interesting that was created by animators from Disney that were actually big fans of like the horror characters or the villains in the Disney movies. And so when it was like a friend of a friend was just like, hey, in your downtime, could you just do this real quick? And they did it by hand. It's like stop motion animation.
Yeah.
Nice.
So when they changed the title of the movie, because originally this movie was supposed to be called Halloween Party.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what's his name who produced Halloween threatened to sue them.
Akkad.
What's that?
Mustafa Akkad.
Yes, Mustafa Akkad was going to sue them, and they're just like, fine, we'll change the title to Night of the Demons. Well, they had already finished this animated sequence, so they're like, well, what are we going to do? And instead of like reshooting the whole thing, they just made a small little sign that said Night of the Demons and stuck it over the Halloween Party. And I'm actually really glad it's not called Halloween Party, because that would be so much more lame. Night of the Demons is a great title.
It is.
Much better title. The only thing that I don't like about it is it's so close to Night of the Demon, which is like one of my favorite like sleazy Sasquatch movies. But yeah. Because when I try to tell people about Night of the Demon, they think I'm talking about Night of the Demons. Like, no.
Enough.
Sasquatch and rips a man's dick off. That's all you need to know. Watch it.
But I've been a fan of this film for such a long time, and I remember when Linnea Quigley first started doing like conventions and stuff. When I met her, there was two guys in front of me to meet her, and she, since there was nobody in line, she was taking all the time in the world and chatting with everybody. And when I got up there, I am a big homosexual, but I don't really come across that way in person, I don't think. And I turned and I was about to leave, and she's like, hey, Germ, I've got a special autograph for you. And she takes out a small photo of the scene where she presses the lipstick into her titty, and she signs that one just for me. And I was like, "Oh, cool, thanks." You know, yeah, that was a weird convention because there was another Scream Queen that like literally ran to catch up with me and been like, "Hey, you're not like the other guys here. You want to go back to my room?" And I was like, "Thanks, but I gotta go." I was trying not to be mean. And not just be like, "I'm a big fag. I can't go. I don't want to have sex with you." No.
I honestly would have preferred that. That way she didn't think it was her, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't pull these young bucks anymore.
Yeah, that probably would have been a better solution, actually, looking back at that, because that was a while ago. But, you know, I love Linnea Quigley, and I mean, this was the first movie I'm standing out to me, at least, that I remember seeing her in, because I saw this real young. I remember that when my parents would go to bingo, it was either Monday or Tuesday nights, my brother would rent horror movies for me to watch because I was too young to rent them on my own. He had rented this one, and when they came home, and I was sleepwalking, and my mom tried to get me back into my room, and I just kept telling her, "No, the girl in the miniskirt's gonna get me."
That's good. That's fucking good.
Girl in the miniskirt.
It was Jaws that fucked me up as a kid. I was afraid.
What's that?
It was Jaws that fucked me up as a kid. I was afraid of swimming in pools.
No, man, it was the raft from Creepshow 2 paired with the blob. I was so scared of like oil slicks and blob type things, dude.
Don't even show her a globule.
Don't.
No, I was afraid of the raft Creepshow one too, but I think that stemmed from Jaws. I think Jaws set me up to be scared of the water, and this is hey,
that's why cold poster. See,
now you're not safe in lakes either.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so funny, like what memories we have of different films, or even like I don't remember that because I was sleepwalking. But you know, and now I love this movie. I can't get enough of it. I have to watch it at least every October. You know, and there's so many interesting facts about it because Kevin Tenney, the director, the only movie he had directed prior to this was Witchboard, which was a much more serious tone of a movie. So to make a wacky movie like this was not his forte. It was more of the writer's idea to make a crazy, and he actually toned down the wackiness of it. You know what I mean? Because it was supposed to begin with like a priest offering the audience, like looking at the camera, offering the audience an insurance policy or something like that if they faint or something happens during this film. And I was like, oh man, there's like a great William Castle moment that they missed. But you know, and like Linnea Quigley had actually passed up this role several times because she's like, "I'm 26, I can't play a teenager anymore," and they kept bothering her until she was like, "Fine, I'll do the movie." And now she's like, it's one of the most fun movies she ever shot because, you know, I think everybody in the movie was probably in their 20s and or not older, and they were like a big family, and you know they keep talking about that.
There's some people that were definitely in their 30s in that movie.
I think it's hilarious when movies do that. You know, like, this is a teenager. It's like, you are 35, sir.
Yeah.
But it's funny with Kevin Tenney, you know, besides toning down the film and making it less wacky, he also was staunchly against the animated sequence that we all love. You know, he had to be talked into that by the writer and the producers. And, you know, finally he's like, fine, put it in. And then once it was in, they're like, oh, yeah, this is great. Never mind. And I also love that Amelia Kincaid, the actress that plays Angela, prior to this was known for dance. So like she was a backup dancer in the Stray Cats videos. She was like a music video girl in the early 80s. And so like for the big goth dance scene in Night of the Demons, she choreographed her own dance routine. And I thought that was a really cool fact.
That is really cool.
Like take advantage of your cast talents and let them do their thing. I love this movie so much from beginning to end. You know, it starts with a unique animated sequence and ends with people that you didn't think were going to live through the film. And then it has that very cool surprise where at the beginning you get an old guy getting picked on by Stooge. Pretty much everybody, all the kids pass by him at one point or another. even Judy like tries to help him, and he's like, "Get out of here!"
He
Well,
calls her
he's
like a
putting
dumb slut or some shit.
something like that, something really mean, and he's
really
carrying
shitty
a
with no
bag.
reason.
Yeah.
He's carrying a bag with apples and razor blades. So, if you were a kid in the 80s, you knew what that was about. He was going to put those razor blades in the apples and give them out to kids. And by the end of the movie, his sweet old wife has made an apple pie out of those apples with razor blades in them, and he's eating his breakfast, which is an apple pie, and his throat just gets torn up and there's blood spewing everywhere, and there she is sipping her tea and just says, "Happy Halloween, dear." I'm like, oh,
it's perfect. It's the perfect ending.
Such a great movie, such a fun movie from beginning to end. I can't like this movie enough. And what kind of star rating would you give 1988's, directed by Kevin Tunney, Night of the Demons, guys?
5.
Yeah, I was gonna say 4.5, but yeah. It's your perfect Halloween movie. If you're going for something 80s, like, might as well give it a 5. There's only a handful of perfect Halloween movies, and this is one of them.
There's zero fat. There's no scenes that need to get pulled out. Like, every character's fun. The acting's bad, but it's bad in a fun way, the kind that you like in an 80s movie. The special effects are fun. Mm-hmm. It's got kind of something for everybody. It's got a little bit of that Evil Dead going, but it's got like its own thing going on. It's a creepy house. It has like the cool, like, all the doors disappeared shit going on. It's a really fun, cool movie. It's the kind of, like, you really just don't get anymore,
Yeah.
And it's literally streaming everywhere. So if you're looking for a Halloween film and you haven't seen Night of the Demons, or in fact, if you have seen Night of the Demons, watch it again, because this is a great movie and deserves to be seen by everybody. Yeah, I give it 5 stars as well. I think I gave it 4.5 on Letterboxd, but hey, on Real Vile, we're giving it 5 stars all the way around. 1988's Night of the Demons. You guys have anything else to add about this film?
I realized today that there are 2 sequels, and I have not seen either of them. So that's actually something I'm going to make it a point to do. I heard the third one's not very good, but I heard the second one's a lot of fun. So I'm going to make it a point to at least get to that second one, hopefully before we record next, because I do kind of got Night of the Demons fever right now. I had a real good time with it.
I used to have the part 2 on VHS. I think my parents had gotten it for me. And I'm a big fan of part 2. But similarly, I never heard good things about part 3. But I know that they're both available now currently from Shout Factory on like Blu-ray and 4K UHD, I think. I know that Night of the Demons is on 4K UHD. And, since they've released them, I'm sure it's probably streaming somewhere as well. So, yeah, Night of the Demons 2 and 3, check those out as well. How about you, Kelly?
Comes with part 2. So.
What? How about me? What do I give it? I already gave it a 4.5.
Do you have anything else to add or no?
Oh, no. Happy Halloween, everybody. Fuck, when this episode comes out, it should be the day before Halloween, or if you're watching it on YouTube, on Halloween. So happy fucking Halloween.
Chris, any final words for the people at home?
Yeah, we'll be back next week with a movie I'm really excited to talk about called Dark Harvest.
Yeah.
It just came out like a week ago. It is already being hailed as a new Halloween cult classic. So I'm really excited to delve into that. And Kelly may or may not be here.
I'm going to try to at least pop in for the Dark Harvest conversation. But like I said, I'm going to California. I don't know how much watching I'll be able to do within the next week. So you may or may not see me.
Fair enough. But Dark Harvest, stay tuned, Real Vile Kitties, ladies and lady killers, because it's going to be a wild one. But with that, I'm going to say happy Halloween as well. Keep it spooky, keep it creepy, and keep it real vile forever. God bless America. Send nudes.